Welcome to another super special episode of TFL Talking Trucks. This episode is all about off-road pickup trucks. And when I say off-road pickups, I have the entire all-new 2024 Chevy ZR2 off-road truck family right here in one episode for you. So which off-road truck is best for you? Well, we'll find out right here, right now. I have the all-new 2024 Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison. I have the new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 3-liter Duramax ZR2. And of course, I have the big boy, the heavy-duty truck, the all-new 2024 Chevy Silverado heavy-duty ZR2. And yes, it's also a Bison. So in this episode, I'm gonna show you each truck one by one. I'm also gonna show you the heavy-duty ZR2 with a trailer so we can see how it's set up for towing. All that and more in this episode of TFL Talking Trucks. Let's start with this truck. This is the Colorado ZR2 Bison. So of course, for 2023, the Colorado lineup of mid-size pickup trucks have been completely redesigned. It's an old generation, but we've done many videos with those trucks. This is something new. For 2024, Chevy is introducing this, the Bison edition of the ZR2 Colorado, which means, once again, General Motors is collaborating with AEV, American Expedition Vehicles, a company that most of us know really well, to do this. And they're offering a full lineup of trucks. So it's not just mid-size, it's also full-size light-duty 1500s and heavy-duty trucks. And before I move on, I have to apologize. I don't have Nathan here, my co-host. I don't have Roman. I have Ian behind the camera here. And you could watch this either on TFL Talk YouTube channel, or you can, of course, listen to us on every platform that supports podcasting. Let's go over this way so we can look at the Chevy Colorado in profile. And this is the biggest and baddest Colorado they've ever done. Rumor has it that when they redesigned this new generation for 2023, they selected the wheelbase of the truck. Specifically, they were thinking about this Bison because they wanted to put big tires on this truck, and the wheelbase, 131.5 inches approximately, lend itself great to these big tires. So let's start at the tires. This is from the factory, by the way. When you order a ZR2 Bison Colorado, this is the way it comes. We have a 17-inch wheel. This is an AEV edition wheel. This is AEV style, and it's wrapped by Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tire. The size of this tire is 315/70 R17. Let me translate that. 315 is a huge cross section. It's over 12 inches wide. It's about 12.2, 12.3 inches wide. It's about 34.4-ish inches tall, and they call it 35s. Yes, I mean, we can all round up. Chevrolet is not the only one that's often, rounds up tire sizes. Ford does that. Ram does that too. But that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the enormous size of this tire, and it just makes the truck have enormous ground clearance and super off-road capable. Of course, the suspension of this truck, and we can actually look at the rear suspension, it's a little bit easier to see. Still DSSV Multimatic shocks. So DSSV spool valve shocks. This is the shock up here. Of course, it has remote reservoir, position sensitive, but this is new. Do you see this cylinder as well? So this is a hydraulic bump stop. So there's one on the rear axle on both sides, and there's one for the front, for each independent suspension corner in the front. Those also have hydraulic bump stops. So this is a big deal because this is a factory truck. And why do you need bump stops? Well, let's say you're going off-road in the desert. We're here in Palm Springs, California, and you encounter a washout or a whoop, and you gain a little bit of air, and then you have to come down hard. And when you're coming down hard, usually it'd be very jarring. You would hit the hard bump stops either in the back or in the front or both. It'll be very jarring. It could upset the vehicle. It could throw it on the side. It could be fairly nasty. Hydraulic system kind of cushions that, but also offers support. So it gets a little bit stiffer and stiffer and stiffer the closer the compression gets. But it's in the front, in the rear and the front. So this is a unique point of the ZR2 Bison for the Colorado. In fact, the tires are so big, they couldn't put a spare underneath the bed of this truck. The spare of the tire is actually in the bed, and folks at General Motors and AV designed this mounting system here. So it has to be very sturdy because these tires are getting pretty big and pretty heavy. And it's stored here on the driver's side of the bed. And yes, it takes away some of the bed space. That's not ideal. But if you want this type of capability, a mid-size truck on basically 35s, that's what it takes to do it. The other part, of course, of the AV Bison package are really tough bumpers. So you can see these really heavy steel bumpers, but they have integrated parking sensors. They're fully tested, integrated into the truck. There's huge, really massive toe points, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. And of course the hitch is here still, the 2-inch receiver. So the Colorado ZR2 Bison, because of its extra weight, has slightly lower towing than a regular ZR2 or regular Colorado. It can tow, according to Chevy, up to 5,500 pounds, which is still quite a lot. So you can bring a teardrop trailer, a small boat, couple of motorcycles, couple of four-wheelers with you, whatever you want. I mean, 5,500 pounds is still okay for small towing projects. Let me show you inside. So inside of the Bison, it's pretty much the same, almost the same as a standard ZR2, except there's some stitching in the headrests. So if you look at the headrests of the seats, there's a really nice AEV Bison logo. That's a cool name. I like that name, Bison. It's really cool. Maybe it's because I'm a Colorado Buffalo College fan, but I really love that logo. Under the hood, it's still the 2.7 liter high output 4-cylinder engine, and this is the only engine available. So if you're wondering, does it have a diesel option, a hybrid option? Nothing like that. No, it's only one power choice. Let me just pop the hood really quickly. And the power is 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. So that's good on the face of it. And this truck just came out of the desert, so it's very hot and dusty. But here's my opinion. This truck is really going after the likes of the Ranger Raptor and the likes of the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon and other very capable mid-size pickup trucks. And when you go after the top of the line, in my opinion, you also have to bring special power. I love this power plant, the 2.7 liter turbo, but it doesn't have any upkick in power when you compare it to, for example, a standard ZR2 or a standard Trail Boss or any other version of the Colorado truck. So that's just my opinion. If I was Chevrolet, I would have found a way to add maybe 20 horsepower to this engine or something like that to just make it stand out that much more. This is not a driving review, that's coming a little bit later. I just wanted to walk you around this truck and show you the incredible system that it has. We can even look underneath the front in a second, look at the design of the suspension. And this has 360-degree cameras, so it has a lot of visibility. Of course, it has a really big, beefy steel front bumper. And I believe you can put a winch behind this license plate. I haven't seen one yet, but I believe it's prepped to accept a winch. Also, AEV is known for their skid plates. So this truck has up to 5 boron steel hot stamped skid plates. In the front here, there's air inlets to feed some air to the intercooler and radiators and a lot of different systems, because you have to really cool off, especially in the desert like this. But if you keep looking down, it has basically everything covered. The engine compartment, the transmission, the central section where the transfer case is, the fuel tank is covered, even the rear differential is covered in this very, very thin but very tough skid plate package. So you don't get the skid plate package or the bumpers if you get the standard ZR2. Now, you're probably wondering about price. We don't have that right now. So this truck is not in full production yet. This is one of the early trucks here for the event in Palm Springs. But here's my guess. This is my educated guess on what something like this would cost. So if you are ordering right now, Colorado ZR2 2023 on the configurator, it starts somewhere at about $49,000. Now, you could add a couple of options to it and load it up a little bit more, but you'll still end up around $50K if you don't get the Desert Boss package. I'm not talking about that older package right now. So we know the price on the heavy-duty Bison. We know the price here, so you can configure a heavy-duty Silverado Bison on top of a regular heavy-duty Silverado ZR2, and that difference is around $9,100. So for $9,100, you get this the skid plate package, the bumpers, the tires, and suspension lift, wheels, and interior appointments. You get all of that. That's just a quick overview, because I'll spend more time on the heavy-duty truck in a second. So that's about $9,100. I'm guessing the charge for the Bison Colorado will be similar to that. So if that was $9,000, because of the hydraulic bump stops here and pretty high-tech suspension and the bumpers and the skid plates and everything else, I'm guessing it's going to be similar. So what is that? 50,000 ZR2 plus about 9. I think for about $60,000, you could pick up a ZR2 Bison truck. By the way, this is according to Andre at TFL Talking Trucks podcast. This is not according to Chevrolet. There is no official information on pricing yet. So I just wanted to get an idea about what that would cost. And $60K might sound like a huge amount of money for a midsize truck, and you are correct, it is. But just think about this. 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor starts at about $56,000. Can be optioned a little bit for about $58,000, $59,000 for the Ranger Raptor. That's still not on sale yet in the US, but it's coming very soon. And then on the flip side, you also have the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with AEV packages on top of it. So AEV not only works with General Motors, they also work with Jeep, of course, and Ram trucks as well. So those packages, I would wager, would be even higher priced than the $60K you can get here, because a Gladiator Jeep 4x4 is already, $50, $55K before the AEV packages come on. So even though $60K or above $60K sounds like a lot of money, I think that could still be a great value when you look at the competition in this space. Now, we have to turn our attention to the light duty segment, the Silverado 1500, but I'm not going to talk about this truck here. How about we go to the desert, a little bit closer to the dirt, and I'll show you a Duramax 3-liter powered Silverado ZR2 right there. Well, the Silverado 1500 ZR2 Bison and the regular ZR2 are not new, but something is new for 2024, and I believe Chevrolet and General Motors listen to all of us. I think many of us have asked for them to put the wonderful 3-liter straight-six turbo diesel underneath the hood of the ZR2 and also the Bison, and they listened. So here in front of me in the middle of this deserty place, I have the 2024 Duramax powered Silverado 1500 ZR2. This is not a Bison, but I want to take this opportunity to just show you guys and describe what's new for 2024, because a few things have changed. The suspension didn't change, the chassis didn't change. Let me pop the hood. The tires are the same. So this is still an off-road truck, the ZR2, with DSSV shocks, of course. And underneath the hood for 2024 is this engine. So this is an updated 3-liter Duramax. It's rated at 305 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque. And of course, it's made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. So General Motors recently updated this engine from where it was in 2021 and 2022. Before that, they gave it more power. They also rated it for more longevity. So now some of the service intervals have increased. For example, the belt that's behind the engine is now good to up to 200,000 miles. So I think they've been listening to a lot of you guys asking for, just better life with this truck. And they gave it more power and torque. How cool is that? So now you can have the suspension, the ground clearance, the tires, and the diesel power to go along with it. Wow, this truck is black and it's super, super ultra hot. It's like 105 degrees outside. Bam. Sorry, I had to close it probably with vigor. There are a couple of other things that are changing. This truck is also available with a 6.2 liter V8 gas engine and a 10-speed. But for 2024, they gave it active exhaust system, a dual exhaust system that's active. So let me show you the exhaust system here. You can kind of peek to it through it by the rear tire right here. This is the diesel engine, so it has a couple of additional cooling fins here in the exhaust system, and it actually dumps below the bumper. Because this is a ZR2, it's not coming out the bumper in the back. It's dumping right below the bumper. And they've done it on the ZR2 because they wanted the rear clearance, the departure angle, to be a little bit better, so you're not squishing some of the exhaust pipes that may be below the rear bumper in this area. And yeah, this is kind of a metal piece of bumper. So this is not the Bison. The Bison would have had a fully kind of beefier steel bumper front and rear, and of course that skid plate package, which is common. That theme is common between the Colorado Bison, the light-duty 1500 Silverado Bison, and of course the heavy-duty Bison that I'll show you in just a few minutes. This truck also has blacked out badging. This is kind of a fully blacked out truck. It's got black exterior paint, it's got black badging, black emblems, all of that stuff. And Chevrolet's doing something else. They're also listening to the price question, right? Because a lot of trucks are getting more expensive. So they're not charging anything extra for the 3-liter turbo diesel. So a couple of years back, they did charge a little bit extra over the V8 gas engines, but now it's the same price across the board, no matter if you're getting a 6.2, which was already a premium engine, or you're getting this engine, the 3-liter. And in theory, we don't have EPA ratings yet for the ZR2 Duramax diesel. But in theory, you can get more range. And that's what everybody who goes off-road for a long time, overlanding, camping, maybe you're doing a mountain pass off-road, you want that range. And now, really, this engine should provide that. I just don't have the exact numbers as far as what the efficiency would be and how far exactly you could go. But you could go quite a ways, maybe at least 400 miles, maybe 500 miles on a tank. That's just my initial guess. I haven't done any testing on this yet. But it has that theme, right? ZR2 theme. It still has the rock sliders here, really, really heavy ones for protection on the side. It has a couple of skid plates, this basic ZR2 truck. We can see them in the front, actually. So let's look at the skid plate here. Has a skid plate right down below. Because it's a diesel, it also has an engine heater, external engine heater, and it has a little plug here on the driver's side, right down in the lower bumper, front bumper area. And this is where they put this engine heater on the heavy duty trucks as well, or in this similar area here on the driver's side. So you could actually plug it in very cold climates. You could keep your engine a little bit warm while it's just sitting there. So it will start easier and it will just be more efficient overall. The tires on the 1500 truck are actually, well, not as big as the Colorado Bison, or the Bison truck has humongous tires. But this is a 275/70 R18. So it's an 18-inch wheel, 275 by 70 is basically a 33-inch tall tire, but still it's a Goodyear Durawall technology. It's Territory MT. Territory MT tire. By the way, I had a podcast a couple of years ago with a team from Goodyear, and that was about the time where this tire, or their Territory tire lineup of tire, was really hitting the market. I think this was about 2020, 2021 time frame. And they have a series of these. They have Territory ATs, they have Territory MTs, and they have several others. And they put these MT tires on this truck and several others. In fact, we used to have a Ford Bronco first edition with a very similar tread, Territory MT tire. This similar tire is also on a Ram TRX. Different sizes, of course, different internal compounds, but the overall tread is basically the same. And in Goodyear language, MT stands for maximum traction. So don't think of this particular tire as a true mud tire, because that's a little confusing. You've corrected me before in the comments. Andre, why are you talking about maximum traction? This is mud terrains. Well, this is a Goodyear terminology, so that's why I was using that language that they're using to describe this tire. But I wouldn't be afraid to go into mud in this tire. I don't remember if I have hit a lot of mud in Territory MT, but I think they're quite capable in most conditions. We've driven the trucks we've owned with this tire, the TRX, the Bronco, in a variety of conditions, including snow and ice. And overall, they're really good traction tires, and also they wear well. After about 13,000 miles in our TRX, the tires almost look new. I mean, yes, they were worn a little bit, but I think they have a pretty good wear characteristic. You're buying a premium truck like this, and you should be getting a really premium tire, and I believe you are getting a premium tire. There's a couple of other small items that get updated on the light-duty Silverado lineup for 2024. They're introducing a new marketing name for their 2.7-liter gasoline turbocharged engine. They're calling it Turbo Max. I like that. Remember when I tested with Mr. Truck and Case and others, when we tested the new Silverado Heavy Duty with the 6.6 gas engine. That engine doesn't have a marketing name. I wanted to call it not Turbojet. Now I'm forgetting. You see what I mean? I'm forgetting what that engine's name should be because it didn't really have one. Duramax is a strong name. Now Turbomax is the other name in their lineup. So I'm really glad they're calling their turbocharged gas engines, at least the 2.7, Turbomax. They also have several exterior colors. This truck also has a technology package, which means it has heads-up display, full color. It has rear view camera mirror. Let me look at my cheat sheet. I have a Monroney here, and also some of the other items that changed. Like I said, the exhaust system on the 6.2 V8 is now active, so it varies the sound with different modes and driving conditions. So if you're in sport mode, you'll hear it a little bit more. If you're in the ZR2 V8, you'll hear it maybe a little bit more. I don't have it here, so I can't really demonstrate it to you right now. And then in normal and towing modes, it's a little bit quieter. So you can vary how loud or how calm or how aggressive that engine actually sounds. And I really like that. I think that's a good idea. And by the way, all 6.2s for 2024 get that exhaust system, not just ZR2s, but every truck with that engine, which is really sweet in my opinion. Like I said, there's a couple exterior colors. There's adaptive cruise control is now standard on all high country Silverados. There's a new blackout package. Some of it we can see here. And Midnight Edition is now available on the high country as well. And this particular truck with the diesel engine, the one you see right here, the ZR2, not a Bison, Silverado 1500 ZR2 with the diesel and technology package and the multi-flex tailgate that we just saw and a few other options, is sticker price of $74,260. So just over $74,000. So I was telling you guys they're thinking about price. $74,000 is not cheap by any means, by any stretch of imagination. But they're not charging you extra for the diesel engine. They're not charging you extra, for some of the other features. They're, even more standard, a little bit more standard equipment included in this truck. So I think you're still getting a really good value when you compare this truck to others, like the likes of the Ram Rebel, for example, Ram 1500 Rebel. I wouldn't compare this truck to the TRX because it doesn't have the wide body and it doesn't have, that, 35s and that big suspension. And I wouldn't compare this truck to a Raptor or Raptor R either, even though you can have a V8, a standard V8 in this ZR2. I would say it competes more against like a high-level Tremor, right? The Tremor, F-150 Tremor truck that's in the space as well. So there you have it. That's some of the updates for 2024 in the Silverado 1500 ZR2 and the rest of the 1500 lineup. Now let's go back and take a look at the heavy-duty truck. Oh, but wait, there is more. I'm inside the Silverado 1500 ZR2 right now, and I'm looking at its digital gauges, especially the digital cluster in front of the driver. And I noticed it has several modes. Well, I knew it had terrain and off-road modes, but I'm also pleasantly surprised. Maybe I should have known this before, but it has a sport mode as well. So makes the truck, just changes the character of the truck, the transmission a little bit. I can't test it quite right now. I'm not near a racetrack, but that's cool to have. Also, there's been a big controversy about transmission shifters in trucks and, of course, every vehicle. So manufacturers are coming up with different solutions. Sometimes they put it as a knob, like Ram would have it here on the front of the dash. So there is a rotary knob where you can go from park to reverse to neutral to drive, and maybe another gear selection for low gear. You can have it on the tree. So, for example, in the Chevy EV electric truck, the Silverado electric truck, they have a little stalk on the column, also digital because it doesn't have a transmission. So you can go from reverse to up to drive down for drive. And now they have this also, they've had this for a couple of years, a console shifter that's basically digital. So it has a park button, push button, and then you hold this with a brake pushed, forward for reverse, back for drive, and park, you push park to park. So a lot of luxury vehicles have started doing this as well. But now all vehicles, or most vehicles, are going to more of a digital shifting mechanism. I think it also helps them to add various powertrains. So, in the future, if they have a hybrid, or if they have, obviously they have diesel and gasoline engines, if they have electric powertrains, so a digital transmission selector or gear selector is just a little bit more, in my view, integratable into the future. But this also has a safety mechanism. And a lot of you guys in the comments have been kind of asking about this. So what happens if I forget, let's say I'm in reverse, and I want to open my door, what will happen? So my foot is on the brake pedal still. I'm opening my door, and I'm in reverse, and I let off the brake. The truck doesn't move. It goes into park. So this is a safety feature that's now available on many different vehicles, including the new F-150s, I believe Ram 1500s have the same system. Same for drive. If I am in drive, I open the door and let go of the brake to get out. It automatically puts me into park. So this is a safety feature. Is it necessary? I mean, you could argue both sides of this story, but it is a safety feature. So if you're used to opening your door in your classic truck while you back up so you can see on the side or behind you, well, the current solution is cameras, right? Every truck has cameras. So if you want to look on the side of your truck, General Motors provides many, many different views. And you can also open your window to look on the side of your truck and see what's going on there. So there's multiple solutions to accomplish the same thing. I just wanted to add that point because I have access to this new 2024 ZR2. So now you know about the Colorado ZR2 Bison for 2024, the light-duty Silverado 1500 lineup, and all the changes there. So let's turn our attention to the heavy-duty truck lineup. They're adding the ZR2 capability to the heavy-duty truck. And you have to be careful here because heavy-duty trucks are about doing heavy lifting, so high payloads and lots of towing has to be part of the equation. But the ZR2 and then the Bison editions of the Silverado heavy-duty lineup adds that off-road element here as well. And now this segment is jam-packed full of competition because, well, traditionally we've had the Ram Power Wagon in this space. Then in 2020-ish, Ford came out with the Super Duty Tremor lineup and for their heavy-duty trucks. And then Ram came out with heavy-duty Rebel lineup in addition to the Power Wagon. And now General Motors is here with their lineup of heavy-duty off-road pickup trucks. And you can see how gigantic this truck is. It's only available in the 2500 series, so no one-ton trucks. And it has a small suspension lift. I'm almost 6'3", and I'm standing next to the truck, and the hood is quite tall. It gets about an inch lift in the front and about an inch lift in the rear. So the entire truck comes up just a little bit when you compare it to a standard Silverado heavy-duty pickup. And of course, underneath are still DSSV Multimatic shocks. So let's take a look underneath here really quick. By the way, these steel bumpers on the Bison can take a beating. This is not my doing, but there's a giant gouge here in the front from a big rock or something like that this bumper just took and then kept on going. So you can see in the front here the suspension. Last time I showed you heavy-duty ZR2, you asked about the spacing. So there's a pretty hard bump stop here, and you said it was too close to the lower A-arm here on the front suspension point. And we asked the engineers at General Motors Chevrolet, and they said that that's enough space to do a full articulation because it's closer to the body of the truck. So the radius of this arm just makes it look like there's not a lot of space, but there's actually an indentation there, and there's plenty of space to have that arm articulate and still, you know, provide some support on a full bottom out situation. In the rear, we still have leaf springs, Multimatic shocks, of course, and also a bump stop. You can see some of the spacing here. This is the overload rear leaf. So we have leaves here and of course a bump stop right there. So when you're getting a ZR2, that's what you get. You get special suspension, special shocks, obviously. All of that is here. Now the tires. Let's talk about tires. You saw that 34.4-inch tire on the Colorado ZR2, and then you saw like a 33 basically on the light-duty Silverado. But this big boy is really rolling on 35s. This tire size is 305/70 R18. And yeah, it's a big tire. It's like a 34.8-inch diameter. So these are big tires. This particular model doesn't have any step, but you can get a retractable step. You can get basically a rocker protection step. All of that is available. Now let's talk about capability. Like I said, it's really important. This is a diesel truck, pretty much fully loaded with options. The payload is 2,649 pounds. This is a little bit on the lower side of the ZR2 heavy-duty trucks for 2024 partially because it's a Bison. So those skid plates, actually let's look at them. The skid plates add some weight. It's not free. Giant steel plates. So the rear differential in this case does not have a skid plate. The fuel tank does. And then there's another skid plate in the center of the vehicle, which is really quite long. So still a lot of skid plates are happening here. And it has a rear locker, this truck. The Silverado light duty and the Colorado have dual lockers, front and rear. This big boy only gets a rear locker and kind of a brake distribution system on the inside. So it has all that. So it has the traction. Once again, this is not a driving review quite yet. That's still coming, so stay tuned to oldtfl.com. We'll have a plethora of driving reviews of the ZR2 Bison Colorado and the heavy-duty trucks as well. Now, these boys should tow, let's look down here, up to about 18,500 pounds. So it's right there, 18.5. Actually, that's pretty good compared to competition. When you compare it to the Tremor truck, Super Duty Tremor, I think is rated about 18,200 or 300. So it's not far off, but this is a very competitive number. I'll show you the towing truck in a second. This is also available with a gasoline engine or a diesel. Once again, this is a diesel you see here. And on the inside, the theme is very similar. You can have a ZR2 in any interior color if it's this. Okay, that's a poor joke. I apologize about that. But this is basically the same theme. Kind of green stitching. You can see some of the lime green stitching on the dash, on the center console, on the seats, and sort of this material that kind of translates from the heavy duty to the 1500 series to the Colorado ZR2 trucks. So they have a similar family feeling. I think, at least on this heavy duty truck, they could add a little bit more, maybe a little bit of red accents. I mean, it's just my opinion. Maybe something in the steering wheel, something maybe on the dashboard, to splash a little bit, just a tiny bit more life into it. Or maybe extend this yellow theme a little bit more. That's just my opinion. Because this is, once again, a premium vehicle that costs a lot of money. So, before we move on to that towing heavy-duty ZR2, let's walk out here and let's talk about pricing on this. So these trucks start at around just over $72,000. That's for gasoline-powered heavy-duty Silverado ZR2 2500. Like I said, they only come in the 2500 series. Then the diesel costs about $9,500 on top of it. And the Bison costs, like I just told you a little bit ago, about $9,100 for the Bison package, including the bumpers, the suspension setup, the skid plates, all of that stuff, and the styling of this truck. Once again, this truck has a front steel bumper that can accommodate a winch behind the front license plate here in the front. So I built one of these on the configurator, and I kept stacking up options. Power steps, diesel engine, Bison package, this and that. And I got up to, I believe, like $95,000. So yeah, you can get one of these trucks, especially with a diesel, high up there in the pricing category. It's still competitive. You could option a heavy-duty Rebel Cummins to the same price. You can option Super Duty F250 or F350 Tremor above that, actually, into $100,000 territory. So these trucks can get quite pricey, and I'm going to do a separate video on TFL Off-Road doing a buyer's guide of how exactly the heavy-duty Silverado compares to the competitors as far as payload. And by the way, about 3,300 pounds of payload is available in this truck when you're with the gas engine. So I'll do a full buyer's guide specifically on heavy duties coming up soon. But now let's go take a look at the truck, the heavy duty truck with the trailer. And just as I promised you, here is the new Silverado heavy duty ZR2. This is not a Bison, and it's hooked up to a fairly large camping trailer. This is a heavy duty truck, so it must be able to do the work that a heavy duty pickup truck is supposed to do. So let me show you exactly what this is set up like. And already from here, you could see the truck is relatively even, relatively level, which is exactly what you want. You don't want the truck to squat too much or the trailer's nose to be down too far. We're towing this trailer here that was provided by Chevrolet for this event. It's a Shockwave. It's a pretty long camping trailer. It's almost about 30 feet long. And I can see here gross vehicle weight rating on this trailer is 9,999. So it's basically just under 10,000 pounds of gross vehicle weight just for the trailer, which means since it's not loaded with a lot of things, this could be about an 8,500 pound trailer, they tell me. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. But this is well within the capability of a heavy duty pickup like the Silverado heavy duty ZR2. And as I mentioned before, they don't have a 1-ton version of this ZR2 package. It only comes in the 2500 series, technically a 3/4 ton. But let's look here. Down here, let's look at the suspension. You still have a lot of leaves, and I'll show you the payload rating and the towing rating on this truck in a second. And of course, Multimatic shocks are still here. And because this is not a Bison, this doesn't have all the skid plates that the AEV edition of this truck, which is the Bison edition, provides. Also has pretty standard wheels for this particular vehicle. And let's look underneath just really quick. I know this is a podcast, but I wanted to, if you're watching this on TFL Talk channel, I also want to make a point about the spare tire. So you could see the spare tire here underneath is basically filling up the entire space underneath the truck's bed here in the back by the hitch. And it's a huge tire, right? It's basically a 35-inch tall tire. And I love that they do this. The tire that's a spare is actually the same size as the tire on the truck. This tire specification is, once again, 305 by 70 R18. So it's an 18-inch wheel. And if you convert 305/70 R18, it's right here. If you convert this into inches, it's basically 34.8 inches in diameter by about 12 inches wide. So this tire is actually wider than some of the factory trucks from the competitors. For example, the Super Duty Tremor, F250 or F350 Tremor, those trucks. And also what's available on the Ram heavy duty Rebel trucks. So this tire has a lot of width, which means it has surface area, which also means when you load the trailer on the back of this truck, it should have enough flotation or a little bit more flotation on loose surfaces like dirt and rocks and the desert that's out here near Palm Springs. But I promised you the payload, so let's take a look. So I'm opening the door, and right here in this, on this yellow-white sticker, it says 2,928 pounds of payload. That's because this is a diesel-powered truck. It's got a Duramax 6.6 liter V8. Of course, the engine itself weighs something, which means with all the options, the payload number will come down slightly, but it's still quite a lot, almost 3,000 pounds. So what does that mean? If you're towing this, for example, this Shockwave camper, that means you're probably pushing on the back of the hitch with about between 850 and maybe 950 pounds, depending on the tongue weight of this particular trailer and how it's loaded. Because the tongue weight should be about 10% of the trailer's weight. So let's say it's 1,000 pounds for easy math. That means you still have about 2,000 pounds of payload for people and cargo that you want to put inside of this vehicle. And this truck is rated at up to 18,500 pounds of total towing. Let me pop the hood really quick. So a lot of capability for an off-roader like this. By the way, here you can see in the front also the front suspension design. Once again, spool valve shocks, DSSVs, but only limited skid plates. If you want a lot of protection, if you're going off-road often, you will want that Bison I showed you before. But here, still really good skid plate. And by the way, in the front here, for the non-Bison version, you have a little bit more clearance because this bumper doesn't have that bulge for the winch. You have a little bit more clearance. So it's about, if I remember correctly, around 32 degrees or 31.8 degrees of approach here. And if in the Bison I just showed you, that bumper was a little bit out and it has a little bit less approach. But that Bison has a little bit more ground clearance because of how the skid plates are designed. But still yet, when you add that weight of the Bison, additional skid plates, big steel bumpers, front and rear, you're subtracting a little bit from your payload. So you always have to kind of look out for that, look at the stickers, and figure out what's what. Wow, it's hot here in the desert, Palm Springs. Yeah, so here I just wanted to show you the diesel. There is no changes. When you get the ZR2, the powertrain remains the same. So it's still all the torque and all the horsepower. So 470 horsepower and 970 pound-feet of torque. Wow, it's hot. The hood is very, very hot. And this truck has a few options. So even though the ZR2 heavy duty with a gas V8 starts just over 72,000, this one right here that I'm using to show you the towing capability has about $15,310 of options. So of course a bunch of it is the diesel engine, which is about $9,500 approximately over the gas engine. And they have the same transmission no matter gas or diesel. They still have both. Now for 2024 they have 10-speed Allison branded transmission. This one has a few options. It's a technology package. I'm looking at my notes right here for this truck. Has a power sunroof, which is about $1,000. Has gooseneck fifth wheel prep package. So yes, this truck will tow a fifth wheel or a gooseneck. And also the bed is long enough. It's about 6 feet 10 inches. I'm about 6'3". So you can see my wingspan. I'm trying to measure it with my hands. It's a little bit over that. So that bed length is actually good enough to carry most fifth wheel trailers. Not all of them, but probably most. So yeah, this is still an expensive truck. You have about $15,000 of options, including the diesel. So about $86,000. But that's not the top of the line because this is not the Bison, right? So the Bison costs you quite a bit more, as you already saw. So yeah, so this is a quick overview of what it's like or what kind of capability this ZR2 has. I think it still has plenty of payload. I'm quite happy that this diesel option truck has almost 3,000 pounds of payload. It still has 18,500 pounds of towing capacity. And it's not even squatting with this trailer. Well, what do you think? Which truck is best for you? Is it the Papa Bear, the heavy duty truck? Is it the Mama Bear, the Silverado 1500? Or is it the Baby Bear, the Colorado Bison? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know some of your questions, also some of the wishes you have. But in my opinion, there could never be a better time to be a pickup truck enthusiast or a off-road enthusiast, because this family of trucks behind me is a testament that General Motors and Chevrolet is very serious about their off-road trucks. Now they have 3 of them, or actually 6 of them to choose from, because each one comes as a ZR2 or a Bison variant of that truck. And choice is wonderful, and it'll go up right against the Bronco family from Ford. They have a Bronco, the Raptor family. They have a Bronco Raptor, they have a Ranger Raptor, they have F-150 Raptor, and Raptor R. So this lineup right here will go, I would say, head to head against that lineup, even though they're slightly different in some of their layout. Once again, let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me on this special episode of TFL Talking Trucks. I'll be back to you with Nathan and or Roman from the studio in future episodes. But as always, I really want to get this news out to you as fast and as quickly as possible, and really with high quality and high precision. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, alltfl.com is where you can find everything automotive in one place.